My name's Dino. I live here in Meridian, Idaho. I'm originally from a different planet we know as California. I've been going to Stonehill for just over a year, serving as an usher, and attend some of the men's breakfast in the men's ministry. When I first came out, I was closing escrow on a house and I needed a place to stay, so I stayed with my youngest son for a couple weeks, and he recommended Stonehill, and I watched Pastor Doug on the TV, and I was like, all right, this guy's kind of cool, right? And so relatable, spoke out of the Bible, and that was really important to me. Got hooked right away and felt welcome and wanted to be a part of it. There's a lot of brokenness in my life and a lot of trauma, and God has been showing me His mercy and His grace in my life, and it's interesting. The more I'm connected and the more I serve, the more I feel connected to Him, and I'm able to work through that trauma. My parents divorced when I was a year old. I grew up with my mom and my stepdad in a house of alcoholism and drug use, and as I got older, it turned into a very violent and abusive home. My life became about violence and aggression. The lesson that came out of that for me was the people who said they loved me the most hurt me the most. I stuck around until I was about 16 and a half, and I had about enough, and I ran away to go live with my natural father. Jumping from the frying pan into the fire. He was more violent and more aggressive. I was working for my dad, running one part of his business, and one day he was murdered by a business competitor in front of our business, and then the guy killed himself. So rough ride there. Had no coping skills, right? My coping skills were how to survive. I just worked and became what, by the world standard, very successful. But I was empty. I was hollow. There was nothing in there. We started attending a local church, and Fred Bybee, he was the executive pastor, and I started seeing him in counseling, and immediately clicked, that, hey, this guy is the first man in my life that has ever been able to hold me accountable. And I met with Fred a couple times, and the second or third meeting, we met, and he had a very specific few things that I needed to change in my life in order to continue to see him. So I got up from the meeting, walked away, and handled my business and said, hey, I'm all in. I made a decision right there that I'm surrendering my life to Christ, and God started working my life right away. So the emptiness started filling up. The shallowness started going away. And life began. I dove straight in, all in. I surrendered my life and immediately saw the changes God made in my life. And Fred introduced me to a Christ-based recovery group called Celebrate Recovery, and it's been a rough ride, but it's good. He filled that void, and I didn't have to be that kid relying on my own self, trying to survive. Immediately, I felt God's unconditional love, and it's something I had never felt in my life, right? And like I said, I was empty. I knew I was broken. I knew I was empty. I knew I couldn't do life like this anymore. I mean, it was like I was not a good man. 9 years later, I continued to work on it and still work through it. But every day it just keeps getting better and better. And His mercies are renewed. I mean, it gave me hope. It gave me life.